WKRG News 5.
Well, there's really no basis for it, and they know that.
Alabama Governor Robert Bentley deflecting attention away from the impeachment process that's working its way through the Alabama legislature. A live report from Montgomery, straight ahead. There could be something more sinister behind the disappearance of a local sailor. The pharmacy break-ins along the Gulf Coast are sparking action in the state capitol. And the turnout was dismal for today's runoff election for the State Board of Education.
From WKRG News 5, the Gulf Coast news leader, the news starts now.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for News 5 at 5. I'm Devin Walsh. Peter Albrecht is on assignment, and we will join him in just a moment. First on 5, the impeachment of Governor Robert Bentley is losing steam. The legislature went back in session today, but the resolution was not on the top of the agenda. News 5's Peter Albrecht's in Montgomery and brings us the very latest. Pete?
Well, Devin, last week legislators rushed to introduce impeachment resolutions against the governor. But then they withdrew that resolution because they wanted to add language about creating an investigative committee, and they wanted to fine-tune basically the entire procedure. Now, though, it seems the push to impeach has slowed considerably. Representative Ed Henry was expected to bring the updated impeachment resolution today. It didn't happen. Those working with him say it's a complicated process, setting up an impeachment procedure and an investigative committee.
How would they move through the process? Would they have subpoena power? Would they call witnesses in? All of these are questions that need to be answered.
Even those who stood with Henry last week calling for impeachment say it's good that the process has slowed down.
Due process and having a process and doing it thoughtfully and carefully, that's the difference between a mob and a governing body.
Most legislators seem fine with a deliberate pace.
Anytime a legislative body makes a knee-jerk response to an issue, it's usually a pretty bad decision.
One exception, Gadsden Democrat Craig Ford. He was front and center in bringing the resolution last week and today accused Republicans of backing off on the issue.
We feel as Democrats that the Republican leadership is burying the resolutions. We feel that they're burying the impeachment process. We hope that they'll come forward with a resolution before we get out of session.
And the new and improved resolution could be brought tomorrow. It might be brought the next meeting day, which would be 1 week from today. Backers are hoping that they can at least get the impeachment procedures passed in the 9 remaining days in the session. Even if there's not a vote specifically on Bentley, they could always bring themselves back in to a special session to deal with the impeachment of the governor. We'll have more at 6 o'clock. Reporting live from Montgomery, Peter Albrecht, News 5.
Thanks, Pete. Well, Governor Bentley is still trying to deflect the focus away from the scandal. Today, we asked the governor if he thought the move for impeachment is starting to fizzle out, and this is how he responded.
Well, there's really no basis for it, and they know that. We hope that it does, and we're just going to continue to do our job every day. That's what we're trying to do now.
Well, Bentley issued an executive order today creating a children's cabinet to streamline services for children in the state. In other news tonight, a break in the case of a missing sailor from Gulf Shores. But now there are even more questions about what happened to him. News 5's Debbie Williams has the latest on the Baldwin County beat.
The 48-foot sailboat Reliant is home, but her owner and captain, Brad Gunther, is still missing.
He left from Gulf Shores on the 28th of March.
Okay.
He fueled at the wharf. He then proceeded to Fort McRae.
And that's where the boat would be found several days later with no trace of Gunther and the dinghy missing.
It was on the boat, correct. That was his way of getting to and from if he needed to.
A break in the case came over the weekend when Michael Rogers was arrested in Louisiana trying to use Gunther's passport and credit cards. The Escambia County Sheriff's Office, along with investigators from the FBI, continue to look into the missing person part of this case. They won't say whether anything was disturbed on the boat. Was there any sign of a struggle? But family says their father didn't know Michael Rogers. Rogers is a registered sex offender from Milton, Florida. He served almost 8 years on a robbery, armed burglary, and sexual battery conviction. Rob Gunther hopes the arrest leads to some answers. What is your heart telling you has happened here?
I don't want to speculate about that right now. I'm hoping that he's found alive, and I'm just praying.
Reliant may be back where she belongs. Finding her captain would be an answer to that prayer. On the Baldwin County beat in Gulf Shores, Debbie Williams, News 5.
Well, Gunther's family is asking anyone who may have seen their father or the sailboat or even have photos or video of the boat while it was anchored at Fort McReed to please contact the Escambia County, Florida Sheriff's Office. Law enforcement agencies across the state are now working together to solve a string of pharmacy break-ins involving tens of thousands of dollars worth of stolen prescription drugs. News 5's Pat Peterson has been following this developing story, and Pat joins us live in our Foley newsroom with an update. Pat?
Well, federal, local, and state law enforcement officers met in Montgomery this morning to specifically talk about this unsolved drugstore break-ins. Now, this is the first time the law enforcement group has met in person since the last pharmacy break-in was reported in Atmore on April 4th. The group is not calling themselves an official task force, but you can bet they really want to catch these suspects who are likely responsible for more than a dozen pharmacy burglaries in South Alabama from Elba to Atmore. We talked to an investigator with the Atmore Police Department about today's law enforcement meeting.
Communication is a key on any investigation like that. Communication between all the agencies is absolute necessity. When you start getting the feds and the state and locals involved, it's extremely important.
Now, thieves stole thousands worth of prescription pills and cough syrup from Atmore pharmacy owner Danny Cottrell. Find out what Cottrell thinks about all the law enforcement agencies teaming up and getting together to catch the crooks tonight at 6. Live on the Baldwin County beat, Pat Peterson, News 5.
Thanks, Pat. Today's state school board runoff has very few people going to the polls. The turnout is much lower than last month's general election, but that doesn't mean the price tag is. News 5's Emily DeVoe is live at one of the polling places on Sage Avenue. Emily?
Well, part of the reason for that low turnout is this just isn't a high-profile election like we had last month for the presidential primary. There's just not a lot of interest in the state for the Board of Education position, which is the only position on the ballot today. Jackie Ziegler and Matthew Brown are vying for that spot that really affects all of us in the lowest 7 counties in the state. For Mobile, though, it's a little complicated because the county is actually split into 2 different districts, and that's why some of your typical polling places are closed today. Altogether, though, to cover the cost of machines, the ballots, the poll workers, and so on, it'll cost about $500,000 for this election that only about 5% of voters actually seem to care about. But those who did show up today are passionate about it.
This is an important seat in the State Department of Education, and this has to do with the well-being of our children for the future.
Being a person who has had several problems with the Mobile County public school system, I just want to make sure that we have the very best person possible to lead our children and to be an example for those children that we have going to school.
I'm a chronic voter. Unless I'm sick or there's something else serious interfering, I'm going to vote.
So you might be wondering, why does the state even spend so much money for a runoff election? It's something that's been criticized for years, and we're talking about it tonight at 6 o'clock. Live on Sage Avenue, Emily DeVoe, News 5.
Thank you, Emily. Well, it certainly was a dreary day across the Gulf Coast, and even more rain is in the forecast. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Alan Seals.
As dreary as it was, you can't blame the weather for the low voter turnout. It is raining offshore, and we've had some light showers in our coastal counties right at the beaches, but the real rain was this morning. Notice how the rest of Mississippi and Alabama is looking at a dry pattern. But if you look at the rain and sort of connect the dots, it goes from the Carolinas across the northern Gulf and then back up to Texas. That's actually a front that has stalled, but that front is going to be coming back toward us. So what it means is, even though the evening is pretty calm in the upper 60s, tonight a little wet weather, but by midday tomorrow we'll see more rain coming back, and then by tomorrow evening more thunderstorms. It's all in a few minutes.
Let me be clear. I do not want, nor will I accept the nomination for our party.
Coming up, House Speaker Paul Ryan clearing up any confusion for folks about his interest in becoming the next president of the United States. Plus, we have an update on the condition of that undercover police officer shot in the line of duty.
The Vascular Center presents the new you. No more varicose veins. If you haven't been watching News 5 this morning,
here's what you're missing. Here are 5 things you need to know before you head out the door this morning.
This is the one that might give you problems if you head this direction.
we've been following breaking news all morning long.
We do have rain on the way. Jacket and gloves, definitely.
We're sliding into a weekend of sunny weather, you tell us.
I would watch this show if I were not on it. I would. I have an ejector seat over there that launches me over to here.
So tune in and see for yourself.
News 5 this morning. Coverage you can count on.
You don't let anything keep you sidelined. That's why you drink Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. For the strength and energy to get back to doing what you love. Ensure, always be you.
We hid cameras in 2 different cars, a Chevy Equinox with built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi and the Ford Escape without.
Chocolate chip, chocolate chip.
Keep your legs down. Athena, put your leg down.
Chevrolet is the first and only car company to bring built-in 4G LTE Wi-Fi to cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Current qualified GM lessees can get this Chevy Equinox for around $199 a month. See your Gulf Coast Chevy dealers.
Now you can design your own custom sofa and get it in just days with iSofa at Rooms to Go. First, choose your style from our great selection of modern sofas. Then, choose your ideal color. To complete the look, pick your perfect pillows. And buy it online instantly, or check it out at a Rooms to Go store near you. The iSofa at Rooms to Go. Buy your sofa or buy an entire room package. It's that easy.
Enjoy smoked barbecue and local seafood at Catfish Junction. Our all-you-can-eat catfish and shrimp special is available anytime. Now you can also enjoy a cold beer or glass of wine with your meal. I-65 and Exit 13 in Saraland. Catfish Junction, a local favorite.
I'm faster than I've ever been. I can take them down.
You can knock off the darkness.
Tuesday, April 19th on the CW55.
Welcome back. Turning now to our national headlines. House Speaker Paul Ryan definitely ruling out a bid for president this year, telling the GOP, count me out. There's been a recent chatter about drafting Ryan to run for president if the Republican convention ends up deadlocked. But he made his position clear in a speech today at the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington. Ryan said if the party cannot choose a nominee on the first ballot, the eventual choice should only be a candidate who participated in the primaries.
Count me out. I simply believe that if you want to be the nominee for our party, to be the president, you should actually run for it. I chose not to do this. Therefore, I should not be considered, period, end of story.
The speaker says he is trying to unite the Republican Party and believes a late entry would only divide the GOP even further. New surveillance video might offer up clues in the murder of former NFL star Will Smith. Smith was gunned down Saturday night in New Orleans. In the video, you can see Smith's Mercedes bump into the back of a Hummer, possibly driven by the man charged with shooting him. Cardell Hayes is now facing murder charges. Hayes is expected to face additional charges for shooting Smith's wife. His attorney maintains his client acted in self-defense, but an autopsy reveals Smith was shot in the side and the back. Coming up, Mobile's police chief gives us an update on the condition of an undercover officer shot.
We've gone through the day with low-hanging stratus clouds, but not a lot of rain. Not this evening. It does come back tomorrow. It's in your forecast on News 5.
Call Cook's Pest Control today for a free pest and termite evaluation.
WKRG News 5. Coverage you can count on.
At Planet Fitness, it's all about the Georges, Washington that is, during our $1 sale. Between now and April 14th, join for just $1, then pay just $10 a month. So join Planet Fitness today during our $1 sale with no commitment. Sale ends April 14th.
At Longhorn, if you want steak tonight, lucky you. If you don't want steak tonight, lucky you. It's Longhorn favorites, the fire-grilled outlaw ribeye, the Longhorn salmon, and the Parmesan-crusted chicken, all with hand-chopped salad and honey wheat bread. Have your favorite tonight. Only Longhorn Steakhouse. You can't fake steak. For lunch, try our Steakhouse Burger or any Steakhouse lunch combo starting at $7.
At Planet Fitness, it's all about the Georges. Washington, that is, during our $1 sale. Between now and April 14th, join for just $1, then pay just $10 a month. So join Planet Fitness today during our $1 sale with no commitment. Sale ends April 14th.
Need news on the go? Check out the WKRG News 5 app, available for all smartphones. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and type in WKRG.
I love the author's use of seasons to talk about love. Does anyone have a different interpretation?
I actually felt exactly the same way, and in fact, in chapter 7...
Whoa! It's hard to look at Jeannie's face, because you can only see me.
Winter throughout the story makes...
Flamingos.
I was
just...
Don't get upstaged by your glasses. At Stanton Optical, get 2 pairs of no-line bifocals for $99, plus a free eye exam.
He's putting these victims through a transformation.
Are you ready for phase 2? Who else is going to love you the way I do?
New Criminal Minds, then. For him, the honeymoon is over.
Where is his heart?
For her, the nightmare has just begun.
He's taking the dead men's women as his wives.
Our unsub is not only a cannibal, but also a polygamist.
Don't miss the new hit drama Criminal Minds Beyond Borders after Criminal Minds, new CBS Wednesday.
Welcome back. Congratulations go out tonight to Mobile's largest employer. Austell USA was named Alabama's Manufacturer of the Year by the Alabama Technology Network and the Business Council of Alabama. The award was announced in a ceremony today in Montgomery. This is Austell's 3rd time to win the award in the award's 16-year history. Applicants are judged on financial growth, workforce enhancement, and leadership development. Austell employs over 4,000 people. Mobile bus riders may be disappointed by a decision from the City Council today. In a 5-2 vote, the Council voted to move forward with plans to cut bus routes. The issue was contentious for many who said it was their only form of transportation. Effectively, the crosstown route will no longer travel through portions of Chickasaw and Pritchard, and routes to the 8-Mile Shopping Center, as well as a route in Tillman's Corner, will be affected. We will have more from bus riders coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. We now know that it was 2 teenage girls from Ocean Springs, Mississippi, who were killed early Sunday in a crash on Interstate 10. 20-year-old Sarah Rushing and 18-year-old Erica Larson were backseat passengers in one of the vehicles. According to AL.com, Larson was a competitive gymnast who was planning to go to Mississippi State University. Rushing was a student at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. State troopers say neither girl was wearing a seatbelt when the crash happened, and both were ejected. The drivers and front seat passengers in both vehicles were wearing seatbelts and they survived, but they were seriously injured. A father and daughter on a fishing trip in Louisiana got quite the shock when they checked one of their lines. In a video that's now gone viral, you can see Lance Burgos there checking the line from a fishing noodle. Well, he thought there was maybe a catfish or garfish on the other end of it, but when he pulled this up, look what you're about to see. Here it comes. Oh my gosh, the teeth of a huge alligator. And then you see him there hurriedly pedaling his kayak away from the gator. They believe the alligator was bigger than his 13-foot kayak.
Now, Alan Seals with First Alert Weather.
It's been a pretty quiet afternoon. After a wet start to the day, we still have the low-grade clouds, but not much rain. You might get a sprinkle this evening, but overall, just look for temperatures to remain pretty steady in the upper 60s for the next several hours. Here at News 5, our wind is calm. The big picture shows rain offshore. A couple of showers along the beaches from Mississippi into the Florida Panhandle. They're not really coming toward us at this point. And notice, even as you head back toward Louisiana, it's pretty calm. Farther westward into Texas, though, rain, thunderstorms there in the western part of the Lone Star State. But we will see some changes as always. Not so much this evening, not so much tonight. In fact, most of us will go through the night without a single rain drop, but temperatures will settle down into the lower 60s. No more than 10% of the area gets wet tonight. We'll keep the clouds, though. That means a cloudy start to tomorrow, and then by late morning, mid-afternoon, we'll see wet weather close to the coast. It'll begin to move inland, so we will get wetter later in the day tomorrow, and then tomorrow night, that's Thursday morning going into Friday, and then on Friday. So we still have several more inches of rain to go before we get out of this super soggy pattern. We will get some thunderstorms, but things don't look too intense for us, as they were yesterday in the Dallas metro area. This is video from Wiley, Texas, and that is hail. And you know, we get hail about the size of a marble. Well, look at this hail the size of baseballs, doing some serious damage. And what the hail tells you is the thunderstorm is growing way up fast. The winds carry it up, and what goes up must come down. And when it comes down, it can do some real big damage. When you see hail like that, you definitely want to get inside. But there's not much you can do to your property. Keep up with the forecast, though. Our forecast for tomorrow has high temperatures in the lower 70s along the Gulf Coast. It'll be upper 60s in northern Alabama, northern Mississippi. Nothing too dramatic, but we'll go through the day tomorrow with rain coming back, and then notice by midday on Thursday we'll have another round of rain. And just like today, it won't come and last forever. It's going to be off and on between tomorrow night into Thursday, and then Friday, and should taper by late Friday. In the forecast for tonight, no more than a few showers, an isolated sprinkle. As we go into the next couple of days, though, when you see puddle, you will huddle inside. Look at this, 70% rain coverage for the next 2 days, and that's why we'll see several inches of rain before it tapers Friday. Look forward to the weekend, though. We'll be back to the sun and back to seasonable.
We have an update now on the Mobile police officer who was shot several times during an undercover drug sting nearly 2 weeks ago. The officer is struggling to recover. News 5 has learned he's still in critical condition. News 5's Allison Spann joins us now live in the newsroom with an update on his condition. Allison?
Devin, that police officer, who we still can't identify because of his undercover status, has taken a turn for the worst. We're told that he was put back into the ICU yesterday due to internal bleeding, which isn't uncommon with injuries of this nature. To recap, that Mobile police officer was shot 3 times during an undercover weapons and narcotics bust. He and a suspect who has now been identified as 32-year-old Ryan Burkhart exchanged fire. The officer was then taken to USA Medical Center for treatment, where he is still recovering right now. Police Chief James Barber spoke with us this morning, and he says that the officer is suffering some complications due to the wounds that he sustained during that shootout with Ryan Burkhart.
He's still in serious condition, but he is stable. The doctors and surgeons have been in constant communication with us, and so we're pretty confident in the treatment that he's receiving, but he does have some very serious injuries, and we're trying to get through that.
Now, the suspect, Ryan Burkhart, we're told was shot anywhere between 6 and 9 times. He, too, was taken to USA Medical. He has since recovered and is currently in jail on a $2.5 million bond on 5 charges of attempting to kill a police officer. The police chief says that the undercover investigation this officer was a part of is still very much active, and that he is still assigned as an undercover officer. But as far as his career going forward, the chief says they'll wait until a full recovery before deciding what his duties may be. For now, reporting live in the newsroom, Allison Spann, News 5.
Bob Dylan once said, "The times, they are a-changin'." Well, guess what? So is Facebook. That's right, the Facebook that we all know and love is getting some updates announced today at a big conference. The updates are pretty funky. I'm going to tell you about it next from the Web Center.
If the journey is the destination, come prepared with all the tech and all the style in the 2016 Toyota RAV4. Get 0% APR for 60 months on a new 2016 Toyota RAV4. Toyota, let's go places.
What do you get for $5 at Papa Murphy's? Scratch-made dough, freshly grated mozzarella, and the satisfaction of a large home-baked pizza. Home make a large faves, just $5 every day. Order online at papamurphys.com. Love at 425 degrees.
And now, another episode of Talkin' Green with Sun South.
Now is a great time to get huge savings on all John Deere tractors at Sun South.
Like the John Deere 3032E compact tractor, as low as $135 a month.
And with quality John Deere tractors, you can get your work done in the yard and on the farm. But hurry into Sun South before these offers disappear.
How did you?
For quality John Deere equipment, visit Sun South, where it costs less to go green.
The sun will come out tomorrow. For people with heart failure, tomorrow is not a given. But Entresto is a medicine that helps make more tomorrows possible.
Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow.
In the largest heart failure study ever, Entresto helped more people stay alive and out of the hospital than a leading heart failure medicine. Women who are pregnant must not take Entresto. It can cause harm or death to an unborn baby. Don't take Entresto with an ACE inhibitor or Aliskir. If you've had angioedema while taking an ACE or ARB medicine, don't take Entresto. The most serious side effects are angioedema, low blood pressure, kidney problems, or high potassium in your blood.
Tomorrow, tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow.
Ask your heart doctor about Entresto and help make tomorrow possible.
Turn going out into going all out in the sporty, stylish 2016 Toyota RAV4. Lease a new 2016 Toyota RAV4 XLE for just $209 a month. Toyota, let's go places.
You're watching WKRG News 5, the Gulf Coast news leader. In the Web Center tonight, it's a big announcement for Facebook. The social media giant is always trying to bring us the next best thing, but for users, that can mean some new features you've got to get used to. News 5's JB Buno joins us live from the Web Center, and I got to say this, JB, why can't they just leave it alone? I like Facebook the way it is.
Yeah, right? I mean, wouldn't it be great if Facebook just remains simple for all of us simple folks out there? But really, Devin, with increased competition from Snapchat, Facebook is constantly trying to evolve with new features. Here's Wonder Boy Mark Zuckerberg at the F8 conference today introducing the next big feature for Facebook, AI bots. Think of this as sort of a personalized Siri that companies can use to talk to you in the Messenger app. Need flowers? Talk to a bot from 1-800-Flowers. If you want to order a pizza, chat with the Pizza Hut bot. If you want to check the status of a flight, message the bot from Delta. Now, Zuckerberg also discussed Facebook Live, the latest feature already in use out there, allowing anyone to stream themselves live using the Facebook app. Future updates will allow more professional cameras to live stream on Facebook. And Facebook also announced a $30,000 360-degree camera. You don't care about that because no one can afford that. And also, they've got some advancements on virtual reality, but that's not coming for a long time, Devin.
Okay, JB, let's go back to the Facebook Live. We've been using that here at WKRG quite a bit.
Yeah, our WKRG Facebook fans, they've probably seen it. If you've been tuning in on the WKRG Facebook fan page, we go live all the time now from the scene of breaking news. We've had Peter Albrecht and Emily DeVoe go live from Montgomery with the governor's scandal. Anywhere there's news to talk about, we can bring it to you live from our mobile phones in the field, and anyone who's on Facebook can comment, can chat with us as we're in the field and talk about the news that's developing. It's really cool, Devin. I'm sure you've seen it. Our Facebook fans, they tend to love it, and we're using it more and more as it becomes more popular on Facebook.
Yeah, and it allows people to reach out and ask us the question they want to know at that moment.
Yeah, it's really cool. We can do some live Q&A with our Facebook fans, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, JB Buno from the Web Center. Thank you, JB. All right, let's talk about our weather forecast. We've had quite a bit of rain today. How's tonight look?
Tonight is looking pretty quiet for most of us. There'll be an isolated shower, isolated sprinkle. No big deal tonight, but by tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and Thursday, that's when the rain comes back. It'll be steady and a few thunderstorms with it.
All right, thanks for joining us for News 5 at 5. The CBS Evening News is next.
Gulf Coast